So our next lesson on power, and our second lesson on power, not politics, on page 166, 167. So we're going to learn about power at work and school. We're going to try and understand the concept of alienation. We'll go over this a lot in class. You need to get this clear in your head. And we're going to think about your future, how this might affect you. Keywords: employer, employee, negotiate, making a deal, conflict, conditions, the way you work, how long your breaks are, what's your toilet like, your conditions. Conveyor belts, like in a factory. Control, mindless, mental health, enjoyment, hidden curriculum, schools. So let's start off. We're always going to have a power relationship and therefore conflict at work. The tasks you do, the hours you work, the pay you get, you're in conflict. Your bosses have most of the power. They tell you what your job is. They tell you how long you work. They tell you how much they're going to pay you for it. You can negotiate with them to an extent, but you can't really negotiate that much. Yeah? So what factors affect this negotiation? Well, there's a legal issue. Your employer can't tell you to pick up nuclear waste in a bucket, because that's illegal. So you have some legal protection. You can't be sacked for no reason. Legal protections. If the employees are united in a union, it gives you more power. You can negotiate with the boss. You say, I don't want to pay a rise. We all want to pay a rise. That makes you more powerful. But it flips around. The boss can then say to you, well, tell you what, if you want more pay, I'm going to close the factory down and move it to China. We call it globalisation outsourcing. So that makes the boss more powerful. Good job. Yeah. If you like your job, if you have autonomy in your job, you're more powerful. You certainly like your job a lot more. You don't suffer from what we call alienation. If this is your job, assembling stuff on a conveyor belt, it's a terrible job. You suffer from what we call alienation. It's like a mental health issue. If you have a good job, you have autonomy, you're in a much more powerful position because you're hard to replace. And finally, it's outside support. The mass media get involved in all this. Remember, the mass media are often owned by big businesses, so the mass media often does what big business says. So lots of stories in the newspaper about red tape and taxes. What they mean by red tape is rules controlling business, like picking up nuclear waste in a bucket. They changed that law. People work here on alienation. Alienation is having a rubbish job and having to do it and feeling the mental anguish of having to put up with this work day after day. It's called alienation. It's one of the big concepts in sociology. And finally, how is school involved in all this? I hope you know the answer before we even talk about it. The hidden curriculum. School, to lots of, especially to Marxists, is getting you ready for this. School is getting you ready for this. The boss is in charge, like the teachers are in charge. You do what you're told by your boss when you're told. You have no control over your work. Often you don't even like doing it, but you do it anyway. School is getting you ready, some people say, to be alienated.